So I know we're always telling you should pay your credit card off every month. So on our journey, if you've looked at all of any of my previous videos, you'll understand we talked about credit. We talk about managing your credit. We're talking about looking at your credit score. We've talked about various different things about credit. Well, today we're going to talk about if you are a good with your credit and you are disciplined enough and you understand how to use credit cards wisely, there are a few instances where you shouldn't, it would make sense not to pay your credit card every month. We're going to go through that. So when you use a credit card, you have a choice at the end of the billing cycle. You have to, you at least pay your minimum payment or you roll the balance over to the next month. Whatever you do, it is crucial that you at least pay the minimum payment, the bare minimum, because you do not want to, you want to make sure your account is always in good standing. This is usually between 1% and 3% of whatever the total balance is. It's a very, very small amount. So you want to make sure you're doing that because you don't want it to cost you for later because you have late payments on your credit report. You don't want to have that. So in short, yes, the best way is to pay off your whole balance whenever possible. But there are three situations where you can try and work on considering having an revolving balance. So revolving balance means you're not paying your credit card every month. Here are three reasons for benefits of paying off your credit card first, before we talk about when there are instances where you shouldn't pay your credit card off. So you want to avoid any interest payments. So if your dress costs $10 and you put it on your credit card, if you're not paying your balance off every month, then your dress might cost $11 and $12, depending on how much you let that dress cost. The expense of that dress rotates and revolve. So you want to make sure interest is the expense for borrowing money. So if you are not paying your credit card off in full every month, you need to add interest as an expense account on your budget or on your tracking and tracing, because if you don't pay it off, there's something called an APR, annual percentage rate, and you get charged that when you don't pay it off. So it can be very expensive from month to month if you keep revolving, because these APRs can be very high. So you want to make sure that you understand that the dress that you paid $10 for that you might not wear for a year will cost you $30 if you wait a year to pay it off. So it can be very, very expensive to keep that going. So the average card ranges from 16% to 29% APR, which is usury in my opinion. But it depends on how much this amount depends on how much debt you have, how much interest the debt you have, how much what your credit score is. So your APR will depend on that. So let's take a look at something. Let's make an example. If you take 6 months to pay off a $5,000 credit card bill at an APR of 16%, which is the lowest part of our thing, you wind up paying an extra $235 in interest. So that 6 months for $5,000 is going to cost you $235 more. You need to add to that. So if you buy something for $5,000 and you take 6 months to pay it off at 16% interest rate, it costs you $5,235. That money can be used for different things. $235 could buy you a really nice dinner for you and your family, can be put in your retirement account, can be put in your emergency fund. There's so many things that you can do with that. So the second thing is you want to keep your credit healthy. So part of your credit score is based on revolving credit numbers. You want to make sure that you're doing that. The rule of thumb is that you want to have below 30% of your limit to have a good credit score. So let's say that your credit limit is $1,000. You don't want your credit to be more than $300. You don't want your balance to be more than $300. So if you pay off the balance every month, your interest is zero. So you're good at that. The rule of thumb is to keep your credit card balance below 30% of whatever your credit limit is. So you have to remember that one. The credit card issuers report your balance every month to the credit card company. That's why it's important for you to take a look at your credit report from time to time. So you want to make sure that you do that. To maintain good credit, you need to be looking at your credit. You need to make sure there's nothing on there that's going to be anything that's hurting you or that's wrong or things like that. One of the most common misconceptions is on credit is that, you should have a balance. That isn't true. You should not have a balance. It does not help you to have a balance on your credit card. Yes, this has happened to me where I have not used some accounts and then they will close the credit account because you're not using it. So if you want to charge once in a while on the credit, you can use that, but you shouldn't have so many accounts open in the first place. So carrying a balance does not boost your credit. I repeat, carrying a balance does not boost your credit. Paying it off every month, however, keeps you with a utilization of 0. So, and that's below 30. So you need to understand that. The third thing is you want to avoid late fees. So there's always late fees if you do not pay your credit card when it's due. You want to make sure that you're keeping up with your late fees. You want to do that. Part of the avoiding of late fees is avoiding other fees. Credit cards have a weird way of checking cost, telling you what the interest is. So let's say you don't pay your credit card off 1 month and then you pay it off the next month. The interest is going to be charged for that the next month and the next month. So they have a weird way of calculating the interest. So you think that you're only being charged interest for a certain amount of days, but in actuality, it's more than what you're being. So be careful when you pay your credit card off, expect a second bill, because if you pay it on the due date, there's still compound interest that's going to come on the next bill. So remember to do that. So let's talk about when it makes sense to only make your minimum payment. Since we've talked about all the ideas, the 3 topics that we just covered was things when the reasons why you should always pay your credit card off. So let's talk about when are situations where you should at least make the minimum payment. It can cause not paying off your balance can cause financial hardship, but life happens, right? So life happens. There are some months that you may not have all the funds to pay it off, which is not good financial planning. By the way, you should be paying your credit card when you get paid. So you should be looking at this. So I don't believe that this should be a situation, but if you're in this situation, it happens. You learn, you move on. So you want to make sure that you want to use your extra money sometimes when you have these financial emergencies. For example, COVID threw a monkey wrench in all of our budgets, all of our finances. You might have lost your job. You might have had some issues where you had to choose between rent and food, and then paying off a balance up from your credit card. So things happen, emergencies happen. COVID was a once in a lifetime, and I hope it never comes back type of situation. But you want to make sure that, you have money enough to pay all of your other bills. And if it comes to paying down your credit card, you want to make that might be whatever is left over you'll put on your credit card. So this is not ideal. You don't want to be in this situation, but if it comes up, that's one of the times that you're not paying it off every month. So the second thing is when you think you want to tap into your savings. I don't know about you, but it is hard for me to save money. It is hard for me to save money, and I try all the different things, try all these different pots to work. And, when I'm saving and it takes me 3 years to save $10,000 or whatever it is, and then within 2 seconds, I pay off my credit card with that $10,000 that it took me to save, then I'm back to square one with the savings. So of this, I recommend you keeping your emergency fund. Of course, I recommend that you keep an emergency fund 3 to 6 months worth of living expense stashed away. You want to be able to survive emergency situations. If you have unhealthy savings and the credit card balance, it might be tempting to simply just take the savings and pay off the credit card. But if you do so, you're left vulnerable. It will take you another 3 years to save up for that emergency fund again. And without your savings, you're going to end up somewhere else. You're not going to be prepared for unexpected crisis. So instead, I would recommend that you pay at least the minimum balance until you can create a plan. Maybe you can work in a 0% offer that you get, that you can gradually pay down. You can, sacrifice some of your luxuries that you can pay down a little bit more. And, you have to have a plan on paying it off. If you're carrying balances, you need to have a plan to pay it off. You need to have something planned. The third reason is, this is the one I've used often, is when you have a 0% APR on purchases. So some credit card comes with promotional offers. This is the reward for having good credit. I have this, my mom have this, I get this all the time, and sometimes I take advantage of this. Some credit cards offer promotional APR for 12 to 15 months. For example, when I was doing my floors, they offered it to me for 18 months, where you can have a deferred plan on the interest and you're able to pay a monthly payment with 0% interest. I've taken advantage of that. If you're disciplined and you have good credit, with these rewards, you're able to use this to manage your money properly, which means you won't pay interest on the purchase if you pay off before the period is over. So this is the one thing you need to remember. Most of the time, if you don't pay the entire balance off before the promotional period is over, all of the interest, as a regular APR, is going to kick in and you're going to owe a lot of money. So you want to make sure that you are being diligent and, learning, reading what the offer is, and not have any misconceptions about it. You want to make sure if you're going to take advantage of something like this, you are paying it all off before the period is over. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. So the bottom line is when you are faced with credit card bill, you may decide to pay off the balance or the minimum payment, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There are good compromises. There are different situations. You always want to make sure that you're staying under the 30% rule if you have to. And remember, your ultimate goal is to use your credit card only for purchases you can afford to pay down each month. That's your ultimate goal, which should be possible most of the time. So this is Sherron, the Modern Savvy CPA, on when you can keep a balance on your credit card. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, feel free to give me a follow to get updated on new and upcoming episodes, and listen in every Tuesday and Thursday, where I teach you smart money habits so you can make better money choices with a financial goal focus.